And I'll call out some names and stuff if you have specific questions as we kind of go through this. It's going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. But we're going to start off with a little bit of Q&A is to understand exactly where you're at. And I'll call out some names and stuff if you have specific questions as we kind of go through this. It's going to take about... You got that mixing in with YouTube there. So they are live on YouTube channel, which is great. So you can watch it there too if you want. We have a few folks watching in from YouTube. Beautiful. Okay. Here we go. But yeah, I'd love to know, what really brings you in here today? Is it you're just curious about multifamily? Maybe you came across something. You've been in our webinars before. Have you taken the next steps, right? I mean, a lot of people get paralysis analysis around it, but I'm curious as to, why you're here. So chime in the chat. Do me a favor. What is the main reason you're here? Are you trying to take that first leap? Have you already done it? Maybe you own a few rentals and stuff. I'm going to put up a quick little poll in here and would love to know, why are you here? It's going to launch into your chat right now. You'll see it in there. But love to know why you're here. Is it about freedom and control, legacy and impact, identity and significance, security, peace of mind? These are all things, these are the big purposes behind why you're doing this. I mean, multifamily is simply a tool. Right? It's a mechanism to get to where you want to go. But the bigger picture is this stuff, right? For you and your family and what you're trying to accomplish. So you got market cap rates. How do you get accurate cap rates, Mark? Is that what you're looking for? Got it. Okay. And you guys can hear me okay? Just online, I want to make sure you can hear me okay and that the volume's okay. Make sure of that. Beautiful. Finding deals. We'll get into that. Love that. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of, about 75% of you, freedom and control over your future. Stop feeling trapped by your job, the W-2 world. Got it. And the stock market roller coasters. Yeah, and not having to fully rely upon that to get to where you want to go. And having that, the ability in the mornings to wake up, not have to go to a job, a job, sit in an office, clock in at a certain time, have to report to the man, as they would say, and have a little bit more over, control over the future. Generational wealth, the financial freedom, leaving things for your family, your kids, and just feeling more secure in general. Because even with the job world, as we know, with AI and everything coming in, there's things that are questionable with that. Things are going to change. People worry about it, wiping out industries and so forth. I don't see it happening that way. I see it's like anything, when technology comes in, like as it has with other industries in the past and things going on, other jobs that you can't even fathom get created. Stuff that you can't even think would be a job right now get created. Other industries get created from it. So it is a great add-on. And it's getting better and better and better every single day. So love that. I'm going to end the poll and share those results with you on that front. Just so you can kind of see, generally speaking, for those that did vote in there, where everybody's sitting. So legacy and impact, you want something that outlives you and your generational wealth for your family, your kids, all of that. Love that. Okay. Another quick question as we go. Love to know your biggest roadblock. Your biggest roadblock. You're going to see 4 or 5 options in there. Would love to know that, so chime in for that. And love to see where everybody's at as to why haven't you taken the leap yet? You want to, but you haven't done it yet. Would love to know why. Don't know how to structure deals. Don't know how to raise the money. Yep, scared of losing money. Makes sense? It takes too much money. That's another one. Too complicated. Got it? All great reasons. All great reasons. Richard, you say you're ready to work for yourself and build a portfolio of financial freedom for your family. Love that. Love that. It is important to understand how many people in here, and I'm going to jump into it before I even get to that. I'm going to share those results really quickly, and I'm going to share my screen so we can get going here. But W-2 versus 1099. right? And this is a really important distinction around the identity of what you're currently doing in your life, entrepreneur or a W-2 employee. And we'll get into that because that's important. If you're W-2 and you're working for somebody in a JOB, it's a little more of a push identity-wise to get ready for the entrepreneurship world, because that's essentially what you're doing. If you're trying to just buy one building, like one little 10 unit or 15 unit and stuff, you don't need an enormous amount of hand-holding for that, right? You can figure that game out a little bit, enough to pull that off, probably by watching enough YouTube, right? I mean, if you're resourceful enough, you could probably figure that out. But if you're trying, like, Richard and some others in here, to build a little bit of a portfolio, that could be 4 or 5 deals, could be 50 units, maybe 100 units, whatever that is, then yes, to do that requires that you are setting up a multifamily investment company, right? This is not a hobby. It's not a side gig. It's not a little, I'm going to dabble in it type thing. You're making a commitment to yourself that I'm going to do this for me and my family. And in order to go through that, there's going to be some suffering. It's no different than if you wanted to lose 20 pounds or get lean and mean or any of that stuff. There has to be some offsets, some suffering for that. Otherwise, you'll never get there. And anybody that does get there on the cheapie, you lose it pretty quick, as we all know. So it's very important to understand that when you're deciding that multifamily is something I'm going to do for me and my family, real estate investing is something I'm going to do for me and my family, you're committing for the remainder of your life. Right? This is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. My intention is there. I just need to know the roadmap. Period. And I'm going to set up the company. I'm going to do this for me and my family, and I'm going for it. Regardless of how long it takes, regardless of what I have to go through, I'm going to make this happen. So it's a mental and an intentional commitment to you and your family to do this. That's what I had to do for myself. And every single person that's had success in this industry and gotten through maybe one deal that's a 5-plex or a 10 unit or a 15 unit, they had to finally make that commitment to themselves that I'm not just going to dibbly-dabbly in it. I'll do it, side gig. No. You're going to set up a company because that's how you raise money. And I'll show you this process on how you do it. But there is an intentional commitment there. So it's very, very important. So chime in the chat if, I know you maybe not there yet, but you'd like to figure out how to make that commitment to yourself. Chime in the chat with a thumbs up. If hey, I would love to be able to make this commitment, Justin. I just need to figure out a few other things around it so I can take this leap for myself mentally. Super curious about that. Okay. Chime in the chat for that. Awesome. Beautiful. Ready to suffer. No, it's not physical suffer, right, Mark? Or Mike, sorry, but a little bit of suffering. I'm going to do this now. That's right. It's a mental commitment through the whole process. So do me a favor, stay till the end because we'll give you access to try our real estate deal finding software. You can come in there, try it out, and then one of you is going to win 3 months of it for completely free. So hang in there as we kind of go through this. So here we go. If you're seeing this on your screen, this is the roadmap. This is the roadmap. This is how you're going to get from exactly where you're at right now to your first deal in the next 90 days with $30,000 to $50,000 out of pocket. Right? There has to be some capital to play in this game. Right? The concept of no money out of pocket, don't have to do anything, people will just give me all the money and I can do it with zero hero. You can play in the fix and flip game that way. You can play in a single family rental that way. You can play in that game that way. You're not playing in multifamily, meaning a 5+ unit property, if you do not have skin in the game. And here's why. You have to raise some capital, right? You have to attract money in. And I'm going to go through the process, and it's a beautiful process for raising money because you're never going to ask anybody for money. It's like the greatest thing ever. But in order to attract that money in, would you invest with me on a 20-unit apartment building if I didn't have any money in it? Probably not, because you would lose all trust. You'd be like, yo, why am I giving you all this money and you have zero skin in the game? I understand you're doing all the work, but you have no skin in it? I don't think so, right? That doesn't work. So there has to be some capital in it, but limited, right? You can come in with $30,000 to $50,000 out of pocket. I'm going to show you the numbers here in just a minute and get a deal. right? You just have to break through these different stages to be able to do that. So stage one is you have to set up your business. And why is this so critically important? Brokers are never going to give you a deal if they don't trust you. Lenders aren't going to ever give you the financing if they don't know and trust you. Other people won't give you money unless they know and trust you. Right now, if you went out to the 30 people that you know and you said, hey, I have this 20-unit property, just put it under contract, going to be closing in the next 60 to 90 days. Who do you know that may have some interest, right? You may be able to get people to respond to you, but they're not going to give you any money. Why? Because if I ask them what you do for a living, chime in the chat. If I went out to the 30 people that know you right now and I asked them what you do for a living, what would they tell me? Chime in the chat. I want to know. What would they tell me? What would they tell me that you do for a living professionally? Business owner? Great, Bruce. Everybody else, keep coming. Safety manager on a data center? Love it. Okay. What else? Firefighter, real estate flipper? Okay. Love it. What else? Would any of them say that you're a safety manager and a multifamily investor? Would any of them say that you're a business owner and a multifamily investor? Would any of them say that you're a firefighter, real estate flipper, and multifamily investor? Would any of them say that you're an insurance, real estate, multifamily investor? Exactly. That's why you'll never raise money. They have not attached an identity to you. The identity that they have around you professionally is exactly what you just put in the chat. We have to adjust that. We have to add on a tagline. When I was doing real estate sales back in, I came out of the financial crisis. The whole reason I got into multifamily, I mean, I'm even giving off topic here, but is I watched my dad go through a massive bankruptcy in 2008. Massive. And I promised myself I would never allow my family to get into that because I watched what happened. So I wanted, and multifamily was the perfect offset to that. Low leverage, fixed rate debt, cash flowing asset, people live in it, they pay everything, and therefore we just grow. And you're not getting into speculative crazy stuff, highs, peaks, and lows, all that other stuff. It's relatively consistent as long as you have fixed rate debt with low leverage. It works beautifully. You can ride through recessions, no problem. And that's the reason I got into it. But one of the big factors that got me through it was realizing the importance of networks, collaborations, partnerships. But the business in a box, stage 2 of this roadmap, is really critically important. So setting up your LLC, getting the database set up with a CRM and a front-loading website in front of that company that says, hey, I'm a multifamily investor, right? This is not a side gig hobby. You actually have a website with the CRM, client relations manager, that has investors in there. Like, you're the gig. You're the real deal Holyfield. So you have to set that up in advance, stage 2 right here, before you're ever finding deals, before you're ever trying to raise capital, before you're trying to do anything. Because by the time you get to stage 6 on this roadmap and you get to the capital foundation stage, I'm sure you hear it a lot of times, is it the money before the deal or the deal before the money? Which comes first, right? Deal before the money or the money before the deal? The answer is both. That's the correct answer. But you have to set up the stuff in this sequence, in this order, if you're ever going to execute. And this will work. 100%. This will work. You can snapshot this sucker, do whatever it is you want here for you today. This roadmap 100% of the time will work if you execute it. Guaranteed. I will put my life on it because every single person in our community that executes this roadmap, boom, deals. No problem. People that jump around and F around with this and think, oh, I don't need to do stage 2. I'll do stage 5 before stage 2 or stage 3 before stage 2 or stage 6. I'll skip stage 6, go to boop, problem, don't get deals. Then you get frustrated, you hit resistance, and you quit. Okay? Really, really important that this sequence is followed because this will get you deals. So what I'm going to promise you for the next 40 minutes here is how to buy a 10 to 30 unit apartment building in the next 90 days with little of your own money out of pocket, and avoid the tenants and toilets on the management side, right? You have a job, you're busy, you're a parent, you have things going on in your life. Obviously, you can't be managing the day-to-day on an apartment building, right? What we don't want to do is create another job for you, right? What we do want to do is put you in an executive position where you become an asset manager. We're going to get into that. So here's why I'm going to teach you this and why it's so important. We talked about the identity, right? Are you a W-2, 1099, or combo? A lot of you chimed into the chat, right? That some of you are W-2'd, you work for someone. Other ones are business owners, 1099. Some of you are a combination of that. Look at these four here. I want you to tell me, and you don't have to, just put maybe the number in the chat, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or a combination of them. Which one applies to you as to why you haven't done this yet? You're not fully convinced on getting into real estate or multifamily. You're not fully convinced on it yet. Number 2, you aren't sure if you actually need help or if you can DIY it off of YouTube. Number 3, you are in the analysis paralysis type person. You lie to yourself that you need more research, more before you get started. Okay? Number 4, highly aspirational personality, but delusional. You have big goals, but you do nothing about it. My dad had one of the greatest quotes before he's always told me this his entire life, and anybody that knows him knows this quote. He'd say, son, there are 2 types of people. There are doers and there are dreamers. Doers will take their dreams, they will make them a reality. Dreamers, you will just keep on dreaming, baby. You will dream, dream, dream. You will talk, talk, talk. You will vision board it till you're black and blue in the face. But when push comes to shove, you won't jump off the cliff. You will paralysis analysis your ass all the way to your deathbed. We have one shot. You got one shot. And depending on where you're at in your life, age group in here today. Are you, age bracket, are you 30 to 40, 40 to 50, or 50 to 60? Where are you at age bracket? And I know you may not want to share that, but just give me a range. 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. Put it into the chat. 40 to 50, 50, 45 to 50. Yep, all of you are just like me. And you know why you're on here and you're in this age bracket? Because this is the midlife point where everybody starts going, holy shit. Excuse my language. Holy shit. I'm doing all right? I'm doing all right? Had some success in life. I'm doing all right. Things are okay. It's not like it's a bad situation, but I want more. I want more. I want more for me. I want more for my family. I want to feel like more secure. I want the financial freedom, generational wealth, passive income. So that way I can buy more of my time back to then start pivoting to things that I really care about. Maybe it's passions. Maybe it's philanthropy. Maybe it's times with kids, travel, You want more of that. You want more. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you want more. Because that is really what this is about. It's not like you're doing bad. You're probably doing all right. Most people that get into multifamily, for this to execute correctly, you've got to be making north of $80,000 a year. You have to be $80,000 a year or greater in order to have enough disposable income sitting there to be able to go invest in multifamily. If you're less than that, that's okay. You can still learn. You can still get there. But it's going to be much harder for you to execute until you hit that mark. Just simply because of the disposable capital outside of your income that you're doing every single day, outside of what you're doing, you have to have that, So how many people in here are at that threshold? And it's okay if you're not. Still learn it. You're still here. It's just whether or not you can actually go execute probably in the next 90 days, okay? Execute in the next 90 days. So we got 60 plus age. I love that, Greg. Love that. Yeah, so Richard, paying for a mentorship up front is taking capital to invest in properties. And yes, do you want more and you're ready? Love it. Yes, it's all these things. I know you guys all put in here the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4. Yeah, highly aspirational personalities. That is probably the key one, It's, am I ready to go? Do I go? Or am I going to keep paralysis analysis? That's probably between 3 and 4. Has anybody seen this before? Anybody seen this before? You got anybody know that guy in the top left-hand corner? I know you do. If any of you being in this world of real estate entrepreneurship, I know you know Robert Kiyosaki, right? I know you know the guy. You've seen the cash flow quadrants, right? You're either an employee, you're self-employed, business owner, or investor, right? Everything you want in life, all this passive income, financial freedom, generational wealth, everything you're talking about is right here on the right-hand side, business owner or investor. You have to be a creator in the US economy. Otherwise, you're playing the normal game of I'm going to contribute, meaning I'm going to make an income, I'm going to buy stuff. Hopefully I have enough 401k and life, retirement and all that stuff set up by the time I'm 65 or 70 and I can retire. But a lot of you are probably seeing like, dude, that just ain't enough. Like I'm looking at what's going on, the cost, my family, school, kids, on and on and on. You're like, dude, this ain't enough. I need more. I want more. That's why you're here, okay? Because everything you want is right over there in the business world and the investor world. It's very difficult to get what you're talking about in this employee or self-employed world. I was a real estate agent, 10 years, right? Grinding, hustling, 10 hours a day. But I came out of the development, financial crisis, then I got into the real estate world sales because of short sales and foreclosures, then luxury real estate. But how I got into multifamilies, I was exactly where you're at. I wanted more. But I knew that I was going to have to suffer for a window of time to get my family moving in the direction I wanted. So 10 hours a day, working, helping people buy and sell real estate. Would come home, family time, kids go to bed, family goes to bed around 8:30 at night. I had two choices at that moment. I could either grab the remote and sit on the couch and scrum through and zone off to Netflix or YouTube TV or whatever it is. That's option A. And waste that two hours for that before bed. Or I could get on the computer. I could look for deals. I could talk to brokers. I could analyze them. I could write offers. I could make connections. I could make things happen. And then eventually deals pop. And that's how we got into our first deal. But you have to be willing to suffer. You have to be willing to commit to that. If you can't do that, it's not going to happen. So the question is, how bad do you want it? Most people talk about it, but how bad do you want it? Because it's not like you have to suffer like crazy. You just have to make a commitment, right? And there has to be a little bit of pain inside what you're trying to do to move you. Because there were plenty of times at 8:30 at night that I was like, oh, I'm tired, man. Long day. I kind of just want to zone off. But you know what? I'm trying to move the needle for my family. Like my kids are relying on me, right? Spouse is relying on me. People are relying on me. How bad do I want it? And then that's when you fight through it to go get on the computer and do what you need to do to move the needle. And then once that starts happening, all of a sudden you get more motivated around it. Money starts moving around it. And then all of a sudden it becomes something that, hey, I don't need to do the sales game as much. And then by 2022, I was out of all sales, 100% multifamily. And I'll walk through that. So key moments in my life, and maybe this will relate to you a little bit. 1989, my parents got divorced. I was about 10 years old. Yeah, about 10 years old. 2008, 2010, the financial crisis, right? This happened to my dad. There's my dad right there. Good old Mr. JPB, Big Jim. My parents there. My dad went to Nam. Some pictures there of him in his helicopter. Crazy stories with that. My grandmother, I learned a lot from my dad and my grandmother. I'm a third generation investor, but I didn't come into the multifamily world. I came into real estate, right? My dad was a real estate agent, then became a developer. My grandmother, same thing. She was a real estate agent, then owned some multifamily herself. God bless her soul. She was 91, driving around in a little pickup truck, S10, pickup truck, collecting rent at 91 years of age. Little Italian woman, Jeannie B. Fiara. God bless her. She was incredible. But then you have the financial crisis. Then in 2018, tragedy strikes. So we lost my sister, Melissa, in 2018 to autoimmune disease, right? And I don't know if any of you have had kind of tragic moments or these kind of moments of reflection in your life where, these big moments happen and then you sit there going like, what am I doing? Am I underachieving? Am I overachieving? Am I where I should be? Am I really leveling up to where I'm capable of? I don't know. I mean, that's a question for you in the mirror. And I had the reality that I'm not, right? I'm playing safe. Fully capable of doing this. Fully capable of it. I just wasn't. I was in one of those 4. I was 3 and 4 back on that list. Literally. I was number 3 and number 4. Right? Analysis paralysis type person who lies to myself that I need to do more research. I got to figure it out a little bit more. Let me dive into it a little bit more. Let me figure out some more stuff. I don't have it all figured out yet. I'm scared. Then number 4, highly aspirational go-getter personality all day long, right? But I was delusional, right? I had big goals, but then not doing much about it. I was doing all right, doing okay, but I was holding myself back. Then a moment happens, and I'm sitting there in my car 2 weeks after my sister passes, and we have her funeral, and I'm going through the grieving process and all that stuff, and I'm literally scrolling through Facebook right after a listing appointment that I had with a client. And I'm sitting there going, dude, I need to do this. Like, I am literally holding myself back right now. And I came across a conference for syndication apartments. And you know what? I said, fuck it. I'm going for it. Boom. Hit it. Bought my ticket completely across the country, by the way. Paid for the most expensive ticket I could, $3,000. I said, I don't just want to go to the conference. I want to get into the green room. I want to talk to the speakers. I want to get behind the scenes. I want to go to the dinners. I want to shake hands and make money. As they say, shake hands and kiss babies. And so I did it. And that was my first intro into apartments and syndicating apartments. When you hear the term syndication, all it means is you're collaborating money. It's allowing you to go buy bigger assets, apartment buildings, with little of your money out of pocket. You're bringing some and know-how. Other people come into it too because they want to make money with you. And you get to go buy apartment buildings and everybody makes money and everybody gets rich. That is apartment syndication 101. But I had to learn this process, right? I had to learn this process. And that was the beginning. But that allowed us, because up until 2018, my business partner and I, we had bought little deals on our own, all our own money, had some duplexes, a little bit of single family, all that stuff, playing the game, doing okay. Had 20 units and $3.5 million of assets. That's all right. But we wanted a lot more. We were still playing small ball because we were holding ourselves back. And it wasn't until the tragedy with my sister where I finally said, you know what? My biggest fear, and I don't know what yours is, my literal biggest fear is being 80 years old on my deathbed, having to have a conversation with my 40-some-odd-year-old self and telling that self, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Justin, that I didn't go for it. Here I am, 80-something years old. I'm sitting here and I'm having to talk to my 40-year-old self and say, I'm sorry that I was too chicken shit to go for it. And I held myself back. I don't think anybody wants that. You don't want that. So I said, we're going for it. Within 3 years, guys, it took us 8 years from 2010 to 2018 to get to 20 units and 3 million. Once I stopped holding myself back and I went for it and I learned apartment syndication, we went from 20 units and 3.5 to 1,200 units and 200 million. 3 years. 3 years. Now, some would say, well, yeah, Justin, but you don't own all 200 million. That's correct. We own 40% of it. But you can have 100% of 3.5 million, or you can have 40% of 200 million. Do the math. Do the math. This was our first deal. 27 unit, Kansas City, Missouri. Right? We took it from pretty dilapidated property into renovated property. Put about, I think we had about, we bought this baby for $2 million. We put about $250K, right? Sold it for 3.4. Okay? And then we had cash flow and everything in there. So profits, cash flow, refinancing fees. There's a lot of fees you make as a syndicator as well. But that is how we did it. Everybody did quite well. Good property. First deal. Okay, first deal. But that's how that process worked. But I was scared to death, guys. I'd never done a building of this size, never taken down a loan like this, never raised money. Up to this point, I'd done a triplex. Okay, a triplex, which is like it's just like single family, right? A couple units, but it's a single family. It's treated like single family. Has anybody ever seen this before? The 7 mountains that inspire people and move nations. The 7 mountains that inspire people and move nations. What I want you to do, and I'm going to take this real quick. I want to ask this because I would like to know which one of these are yours? What are your mountains? I'm going to put up this poll. Should be coming up now. Take 3 or 4 of these. And the reason why this is so important is because, remember a little bit earlier, I mentioned how critical it is to have a little bit of pain inside you that's going to drive you every day, right? And if you don't have that, then you're going to quit and give up, especially if you're having to learn this stuff. And put a couple hours a day, you guys, a couple hours a day, 5 to 10 hours a week, and you'll execute this game. But you have to be able to commit to that. And what's going to keep you committed to that is this, right? Money's a great motivator. It is. It'll get you going. So that's the business side. You have to have the resources, which is either your job, your W-2, or the current businesses you're running. You have to have the financial resources, right? That's mountain number 1. And once you have the resources, or some resources, which is why I was saying $80,000 a year or greater, $30,000 to $50,000 in liquid capital for you to be able to execute the game. But once you have that, then you can then pivot time towards other things that really get you the fire in your belly. Because without the fire in your belly, it's going to be hard to go through resistance. Because the minute you start getting into this or doing anything that's of prominence, you're going to hit resistance, right? You're going to want to quit. This is going to keep you moving through it, right? And I see it in here. You got sports, culture, education, business, family, government, religion, media, right? So let me show you how this exercise works for me and why it's so critically important, okay? So I'm going to end that poll, and I want to show you. All right, I want to show you why. Let me share this real quick. So that way you see that. Sorry about that. So now you can see the whole screen. There we go. So why is this so important? So business being number 1, that is your resources. For me, media number 2, how do you think you found us? Right? We're online. We're helping a lot of people out. We're raising the brand, the awareness, right? That's the media game to get out the message. Then we have the education piece. How can we help others do exactly what we're doing? And by doing that, we create an amazing network, right, of investors that are executing around the country. And by creating an amazing network of collaborative investors who are finding deals, analyzing deals, raising capital, closing, managing, all those components of buying multifamily, now you have people that are doing things together. That allows everybody's portfolios to grow. You're not doing it alone. You're doing it in collaboration. That's where the education's the whole purpose of why we're even here this morning. It's not about selling a bunch of crap. It's about, hey, how can we educate people correctly to where you can execute? Awesome. But then now that you're executing, how do we collaborate and partner? Because as you go up and do bigger deals, you're going to need more partnerships. It's just the way it works. We didn't get to 1,200 units and 200 million doing that all with our own money. I have co-partnerships, other people involved in these deals, because you're talking a lot of zeros. So you have to collaborate that together to get to where you want to go. But there's so much pie in the game, plenty of zeros to go around, that this is where you get into the big boy pants, as we call it. And this allows the financial freedom, generational wealth, everything that you're searching for, you can do. And you don't have to get to thousands of units. I mean, honestly, you could do most of this even if it was 100 units that you wanted to get to, or 50 units, or 20, whatever that is. Partnerships are needed. But that's the education side of it. And then the last one is family and philanthropy. There has to be a bigger purpose behind why you're doing it. You know, it's not just personal family, right, which is mine. I mean, this is a huge why. It's a huge why for why you're doing it. It pushes you every single day, especially if you're a man, right, that's helping provide and protect for your family. Then you get the philanthropy side. Tunnels to Towers, amazing organization that helps pay off the mortgages for typically widowed spouses left behind with their kids, to give them a free and clear house because maybe the husband had passed in the line of duty. Clears their house, gives them a free house for the rest of their life. It's an amazing organization. SEAL Future Foundation. We give back to Navy SEALs to help transition them from SEAL world into civilian life, because a lot of them, the suicide rate amongst Navy SEALs, top in the world, right? So how can we help these guys move out of this upper, like, echelon and they're moving into civilian world and they don't know how to cope with it. But how do we move them? Health, wellness, spirituality, financially, mental health, all that stuff. And then disadvantaged kids. You know, I was on a podcast yesterday with this guy, Eric, and, you know, grew up, didn't know his dad, single mom raised him, tough upbringing, very poor, in and out of homeless shelters. You know, and it wasn't until he finally got through getting kicked out of, I think, high school twice. I mean, just, you know, tough upbringing. And everybody has different starting points. And I always say, you don't control where you start, but you sure as heck have a responsibility how you finish up. Right? It's not your fault where you started in this world. You didn't get to pick it. Right? You came into this world, it is what it is. Everybody has different starting points, some better than others. But you do have a responsibility. And this goes to show you, this guy, Eric, no real reason why he was able to grow to where he's at other than he just had these internal moments where he said, I need help. I need role models. I need guidance, education. The military was that for him. That was his role model. But that allowed him to go from zero to hero. But if you can give kids that have not the same opportunities a role model and a belief system, their ability to go zero to hero is incredible. Right? And so that's really the big differential between kids that make it and kids that don't. And so we give a lot back to that. It's a big deal for us. Big deal. So let's get into this. I want to break down a deal here for you, right? But the reason I'd spent so much time, you guys, on this motivational side, because the X's and O's you can learn, right? I can teach you X's and O's to your black and blue in the face. But if we can't get you internally set with the right mindset and the identity shift around what you're currently doing to where you're trying to go, then it doesn't matter. You're going to learn all this stuff, which is why you get into the learning loophole, right? Conferences, webinars, YouTube, all the learning. You're learning like you're black and blue. It's great. But in order for you to execute, there has to be something internal that's going to drive you and kind of push you through the resistance. So here we get into some numbers here, though. Let's take a 15-unit property, okay? 15-unit deal. 15-unit property. $100,000 in renovation, you're going to improve it. $50,000 in closing costs. That's what that CC stands for. So you're all in this thing about $1,650,000, right? $1,650,000. You're going to go out and get a loan for about 70%, right? Low leverage, 70%, 30% equity, 70% loan. Getting that loan is easier than getting a single family loan of $200,000. Why? Chime in the chat real quick. Why is it easier to get $1,500,000 loan or $1,150,000 loan, excuse me, easier than getting a $200,000 house loan? Why? They're not looking at your credit as much. They're not looking at you as much. You are secondary to the bank, right? You're secondary to them. They're looking at the property. It is literally like the Subway sandwich shop down the street. It has revenue, it has expenses, and it has a profit. And that profit, known as net operating income, pays the bank. Pays all the expenses, pays the bank, pays everything. So that way you are secondary, right? They're looking at the property to give the loan to first. You are secondary in the process. They want to make sure you're not a fraud. They want to make sure you're human, right? You're there, but you're secondary in their decision making, okay? So yes, commercial, because the loan is based off of the income of the property. That is correct. That is correct. So now you're talking about the equity side. And this is where people stop because they're thinking, yeah, dude, I don't have $500,000. I know you don't. Neither did we. Our first deal, that 27 unit I showed you, we didn't have that money. We had to raise almost $900,000 to take that deal down, right? We brought in 10% of it, about $80,000 into that deal. And we also, upon closing on it, we got what's called an acquisition fee for help putting all that thing together of about 3%. So 3% on a $2.2 million property, right, is about 60-something thousand bucks. So $80,000 goes in, 60,000 comes out. We were literally out of pocket $20-something thousand and had control and ownership of a 27-unit apartment building. Literally. Same thing would happen here, right? $500,000, you come in with 10%. You are the general partner. That is your money in the deal. That money is going to earn money. That gives you the control and leverage over the deal. OPM, other people's money, right? Other people's money. Now, we'll get into how you raise capital. That's a learning thing. But it's beautiful, guys. You will never ask anybody for money. Raising capital is one of the one of the greatest myths around raising capital is people think they need to ask people for money. You're never going to ask anybody for money. You're simply going to ask who they know. Your job is to find great opportunities. Let the deal do the driving. Then you're going to provide those opportunities out into your database, our database, communities and networks. Allow the money to attract into a great opportunity that produces good returns. Okay, good returns. So the OPM is 450K. Thumbs up if this kind of makes financial sense so far. And I'm going to get into some more details here in a second. But thumbs up in the chat if this makes sense. Awesome. So you bring in 10% of the money, you're going to get 40% of the ownership of the deal. No different than what I was showing you earlier, right? We went from owning 100% of the deals to 40% of the deals, but we had 100% control. I need you to distinguish ownership from control. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison, CEO of NVIDIA, all the biggest companies in the world. Guys, they're syndicating companies. You do understand that, right? Elon Musk owns less than 10% of Tesla and SpaceX. Richest guy in the world. He has syndicated over 90% of his company. At Amazon, Jeff Bezos, less than 15%. Second, third richest guy in the world. Mark Zuckerberg, second richest guy in the world. He syndicated Meta, right? Some money in, has control, given up 90% of the ownership, but still maintains it, richest guy in the world. Why? Because they've realized that that's how you scale money, right? You don't try and do it alone. Stop trying to hold on tight, guys. Ownership and control are two separate things. You can control the entire deal, have a piece of a bigger pie, and make a lot more money. All the richest people in the world understand this game. It's the movement of money. Okay, you have to be okay with this process. Otherwise, you'll stay small and you'll move slow. Stay small and move slow. Or you can come over here, move fast, and grow big. That's how the game works. That is the money game. Okay, so 10% comes in, 40% of the deal you get, plus you get fees. One of them is what's called an acquisition fee. That literally comes in within a week of you closing on the deal. So your money of 50 comes in, 30K comes out, right? You're $20,000 out of pocket and have control and ownership of a 1.5 million 15-unit apartment building. Literally. Like, this is how the game works. You couldn't even do this with a single family house. Why? Because with a single family, you have to put in all the money. Why do you have to put in all the money? Because it's not investable. There's not enough zeros in a single family rental, single family flip, single family short-term rental, all that other single family world to be investable enough to attract money in, right? Give them enough returns to then have people say, yeah, I want to invest in that 15 unit, 20 unit, 30 unit, 50 unit with you. There's not enough money in it. That's why it stays small. Single family's fine as you get started, but now you need to level up. Okay. Let's give you a couple case studies. Let's take Hayden, for example. First deal that he bought, 10 unit, priced it at $1,340,000, about $130,000 a door. They did $70,000 in reno, closing costs of $40K, total all in $1,450,000. What was cool on this deal is the seller financed it for them, right? The seller financed it, gave them the loan of $800,000. Then they came in with a down payment of $640,000. Now Hayden and Matt, they only came in with $51K. That was their money in the deal. They raised $589,000 from about 9 people. I think it's about 9 investors, 9 people in their network, all of that stuff, right? So that's the money they came in and they raised it. Let's talk about what they got from it. So this is what they got. Out of pocket $51K, right? Then they get an acquisition fee of $26,000. So they're physically out of pocket $25,000 and own a 10-unit apartment building for $25,000 out of pocket. They're getting $2,750 per month in cash flow to them. Another $150 in an asset management fee. It's another fee you make. So here's like their total money over the 5 years, right? $245,000 in profits from the sale, $165,000 in cash flow every month, right? Total of $410,000 for $51,000. It's 160% annualized return. And on top of that, they got massive tax write-offs of about $65,000. I mean, this is not a joke. This is not like a one-hit wonder, a random unicorn. This is very, very, very standard. Very, very, very standard. So how is this happening? Because you're learning a very valuable skill set. Your income is directly related to the problems that you're solving in the world. Your income is directly related to the problems that you solve for the world. Hayden and Matt are solving big problems. They're solving million-dollar problems. Why? Because they can go find great opportunities, bring them to the table, present them to people. Because they're presenting them, that earns money for investors. These people have money. They want to invest it. They want to make lots of money with it. You're solving big problems for them because they don't want to do any of the work, but they would love to make 15 to 20% a year on their money. And that's what these investors get. Typically 15 to 20% a year on their money, and they get to wipe out income taxes. So if you have a good deal that's going to produce that type of return for an investor, the money's pretty easy to attract. And then the taxes on top of that to wipe out income taxes, because your investors get all the benefits with you as well on the tax side. So 15 to 20% a year on their money, and they wipe out income taxes. And they get to own real estate with you, and they don't have to do any of the work. Now it just comes down to, do I trust you? That if I give you some money, that you're not going to run off and put us on an American Greed show, right? But that's the game of raising money. That's kind of part of that roadmap process I was showing you earlier that you get. That's part of it. Let's take Brian as a case study. Gets a 22 unit, right? $1.4 million price, renovates it for 55 grand. Not a lot of renovation on that one. $84,000 in closing costs. By the way, your acquisition fees and these fees and stuff we're talking about, that acquisition fee is built into your closing costs. Just so you understand where that money comes from. Comes out of the closing cost. Total all in of $1,539,000. Loan that you get on it is about $1 million, a little over almost $1.1 million loan, 70%, right? Low leverage, fixed rate debt. Down payment, $450 grand. This is how he broke it out. He brought in about $50K. He got an acquisition fee of $28K. So he's out of pocket $22,000. He raised $400 grand from about 6 people. Okay, 6 people. This is what Brian gets on the deal. So he's out of pocket 50, gets an acquisition fee of 28 within 7 days of closing on the deal. So now he's physically out of pocket 22K. Monthly cash flows to him in his bank account of $3,200 a month. $350 in an asset management fee on top of that. His total profits over the 4 years of ownership, $172,000, $153,000 in cash flow, right? Monthly, boom, 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 boom. Total of $325 grand on $50,000 of investment. It's 162% annual rate of return, ARR. Plus he got about $55K in tax write-offs. That's a paper loss tax write-off that you get. That's called bonus depreciation. We get into that when people are learning this stuff, but that's part of it. Let me see if you guys can actually hear this. This is going to be pretty cool if this actually happens. Hold on one second here. You may not be able to hear it, but you'll be able to see it. So hold on. You'll have to let me know if you actually do. So this was his first deal. Can you actually hear the volume on that or no? Just see the video. Curious. No, Linda, the acquisition fee is yours. Just yours, not investors, just yours. Carol, you said, what do the investors get and when? They get the cash flow paid quarterly. I mean, it comes out monthly, right? But it gets distributed quarterly. And then they get any capital events that happen from a cash out refinance that you may do in years 3, 4, whatever, and then profits from a sale when you go sell the property. So they're getting ownership plus cash flow plus tax benefits. There's really, call it 4 things we call it that you and investors get out of multifamily. You get the cash flow, you get what they call capital events. So if you refinance it, you've heard about cash out refinancing or profits from a sale. All the tax benefits that you get, right? And bonus depreciation. And then benefits from inflation, right? Which is a huge, benefit. When inflation hits, you get the benefits of that. Now you as a general partner, right? Person putting the deal together, you get fees for that too. So you're getting paid a ton of different ways when you own multifamily. Your returns as a general partner are like 30 to 50% a year. Because keep in mind, you have limited out-of-pocket capital and you're getting massive returns on that limited out-of-pocket capital. You saw that right there, right? You see what happens, okay? So let me ask you a question. If you found a 20 unit in the next 90 days that made financial sense, do you have access to $20,000 to $50,000 liquid right now that you could go execute on that deal? If you found it, could you do that? Could you do that? Chime in the chat. Can we stay with property or always sell? You don't have to sell or do anything. You can hold it. To be honest with you, Linda, one of the great things about multifamily is, let's say you get to year 3 or 4 of the deal, the property's gone up in value, and you want to refinance that property. You can cash out your investors. So now they're out of the deal. Now you own 100% of 100%. Right? That's the beauty of multifamilies. You can cash them out of the deal. They're going to get their returns. They're stoked. And now you get to now own that property, and you can ride off into the sunset in perpetuity. You don't have to sell squat. You can hold on to that thing for as long as you want. And now you don't have investors in it anymore. And now it's yours. But you use their money to get there. And they're happy because they got 15 to 20% a year on their money, plus tax write-offs, and you paid them out in a few years. Let's go. When's the next deal, Linda? When's the next deal? People love that. Okay, so that's an option for you. That's an option. So here's the 3 secrets, and we talked about the first one. How do you own a 10 to 30 unit with limited out-of-pocket capital? I just showed you how for $20, $30, $40, $50,000, you can have control and ownership of an apartment building. So your fear around a bunch of money, it needs a bunch of money, a bunch of capital, a bunch of this, no, it does not. It needs some money from you, and it needs a lot of knowledge and skill set. So the knowledge and skill set is what you're trying to do here, right? You have to be able to execute the game. We call that check equity versus sweat equity. Check equity is the money. Sweat equity is the knowledge and skill set to execute the game. And yes, you can, right? You can teach all of that, right? You can teach all of that. Do you need to manage the toilets and tenants? No, you do not. And I don't want you to be a day-to-day property manager. That is a disaster, right? You will hate your life and you will quit. So you need to hire property managers correctly. So we have property manager hiring guides, all this stuff. There's a process for this. So that way you become what's called an asset manager, right? You're just making sure the property manager is doing their job, right? You become an asset manager where once a week on a little 30-minute to 40-minute Zoom call, you're checking in with the property management company to make sure that everything is running smoothly. There's a few reports you look at. If those things all look good, that's your job for the week. The property manager handles all the toilets and tenants, the 2 a.m. phone calls, all that crap, and that way you can handle what you're doing for your life. Because what you can't do, and what most people can't do, is get into multifamily and give up what they're doing for their day job or career or their businesses, right? Most people like me and you and everybody, you're going to start multifamily, right, as a side deal that you're putting in a couple hours a night, let's say 5 to 10 hours a week, get the momentum moving on it. All the while, you need to pay the bills. That's why your current job, your current career, your current business, everything you're doing here is still going to run. And then you're going to find a couple hours a day to pivot and grow this. And then at some point, that multifamily game is going to overtake your business. And that's when you talked about the passive income, the financial freedom, the generational wealth. Because now you have some decisions to make. I mean, if you're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month from multifamily, would that be enough for you to have some decisions to make? Curious. Put in the chat. If you're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month from multifamily, would that be enough for you to say, I don't need to go to work anymore. Maybe I can quit my day job. Maybe I don't need to do my business as much. Maybe I'll turn it over to a CEO or a president, right? And let me go all in on multifamily. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So that kind of money is very realistic in the multifamily space, depending on size and how much you want, just depends. On average, just so you know, just from kind of and this differentiates, you can expect $200 to $300 per month, per unit into your pocket. So do the math, right? If you wanted $20,000 a month, let's say you had, a 20-unit apartment building, right? 20-unit apartment building, you're looking at $4,000 to $6,000 a month. 2 to 3 of those deals, you're there. Now, what ends up happening with a lot of folks is you'll do your first 2 deals, because it's almost like on clockwork. Your first 2 deals will be under 30 units. They'll be between 10 and 30 unit deals to get your feet wet, get comfortable, keep the capital in line, get loans. It's your first time, you're building a resume, right? All that stuff happens. Then, after you do 2 deals in that size, you're going to go, dude, why am I not doing a 50 unit? Look at that 80 unit over there. So that's how you scale the money pretty quickly. And that's how you get to your 50,000, right? Your first couple are smaller, third and fourth get bigger, money starts moving in, okay? So now we figured out we don't need to be the property manager and toilets and tenants. We don't need a lot of capital. The last one is, do you need a long track record? And the answer is no. Our first deal, that 10 to 30 unit, like I said, I'd done duplexes up to that point. A little bit of real estate, but not a lot background, right? Granted, I came from it with family and stuff, but that didn't really help me in this aspect. This is a whole different ballgame of owning an apartment building, but this was a 27 unit, right? 10 to 30 unit. Our second deal was 31. Then after that, we went to 80 and 50, 120, 160, 200 unit deals, right? But it started smaller. You got to get in and you got to be able to not do it alone, right? Collaborations and partnerships, communities, feeling like you can lean on other people. It's critically important, critically important. Let me show you this because this is Michael here. This is pretty kind of cool to hear his story.
I come across your video and actually it's kind of funny.
Can you hear the volume on this?
And his dog walker, you labeled him a dog walker, really he's a dog trainer, but
I know it's not there, man. I'm sorry, Brian. Sorry, dog trainer. Much my higher class.
Yeah. So I watched that, and the intimacy that
can you hear the audio
program, being one-on-one with you and getting your personal phone number and all that, it's just really made me just pull the trigger on it. It didn't take long. About 2 days is all I thought about it. My plan was to get into multifamily, but I was going to flip houses and kind of build the cash and kind of do it myself. I didn't understand the syndication and processes work, and this whole thing makes it a lot easier, and you explain it better than any other videos or anyone I've ever seen do it. I really appreciate all of this. This is awesome. The CRM, the website, everything is amazing.
You got it, man. Appreciate that. You know, let's make this happen, right? You're not failing. You're not giving up. The only way you lose is if you give up, and that ain't gonna happen. Not under my watch.
There you go. Then we got Ryan.
From Orange County, California. Been in this mentorship group for about a year now. Learning a lot with Justin. He's been a huge help to some deals, helping us analyze them, close them. So far right now, I've already closed on a 39 unit in Cleveland. That one we actually put all the money down ourselves, but now we're got an offer accepted in Oklahoma and another deal. We're going to syndicate that one. So everything from analyzing the deals, trying to syndicate, raise money, tax benefits. Justin's been there trying to help us understand all of this stuff so we can educate our investors. Joining his group, I highly recommend it. We're out here in person in Vegas right now. Really fun meeting people, networking, and I highly recommend joining the group.
That was Ryan. He had partnered up with Tony, and they're now on their third deal, but their first one was a 39 unit in Cleveland. So these are the three secrets we busted through. So you do not need a huge track record. Right? You just don't, right? And one of the greatest things that we do with a lot of folks that come into our community is they leverage our track record, right? We come on as a strategic partner. So that way with your website, right? The investor website we set up, all of that kind of background, we come on, we give you an advisory board team, strategic partnerships. So that way you look like you are the part before you're the part. You look like you have clout before you have clout. You look like you have a resume before you have a resume. That's very important for brokers, lenders, other people, investors, anybody who's going to be looking at you as you get going and get your own first deal. They're going to want to know that you have maybe not necessarily a huge track record, but you have the proper support team. That's why that's critical. That's why it's critical. So let me ask you a couple questions. Wouldn't you agree you now know that it's possible to get a 10 to 30 unit apartment deal in 90 days with as little as $20,000, $30,000 physically out of pocket, right? Physically out of pocket. Put a thumbs up if I've hopefully been able to display that to you. Secondly, wouldn't you agree that you don't need to be a crazy expert to pull this off? I mean, I wasn't, had some background. Many of the other people, normal W-2 or they're business owners, but they just made a decision for themselves to go pull this off. Did not need a huge track record or a huge database. Guys, people know people that know people. If your biggest fear is around raising money, trust me, you don't. Go find a nice deal. The deal will attract the money. What we help do is set up the network, right? The key is the network, the collaborations, the community. Because I'm sure you've heard the saying, give a man fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. So people say, well, do you give us money? Maybe. Well, we have our fund, we have capital, we have community, we have networks. So people collaborate and raise money all the time. That's number one. Number two, but we need to help set up yours. And even if you think everybody you know right now, if the 30 people you may know are broke as a joke, trust me, they know people who know people who know people. Remember in the beginning where I said the greatest part about raising capital is you're never going to ask anybody for money. It's like, I mean, it's so beautiful when you actually execute this thing. You do not ask anybody for money. You provide opportunities to the market. You ask who they know. You're never going to ask a friend or a family member for money, ever. You're simply going to send them the deals. You're going to ask who they may know. And then by that method, you're creating FOMO and you're pulling it away. Because they're going to send it off to their friends that they say they will. Yeah, let me send it off to Joanne and John. But then they're going to end up responding back to you and saying, hey, I sent it off to John and Joanne, but hey, look, I'm just curious. Why didn't you ask me? Like, do you think I'm broke? I don't have any money. Like, why didn't you ask me? I mean, the response is, listen, I didn't want to impose upon our friendship. I didn't want to impose upon our relationship. I figured you may know some people, so I'd send it off to you. Maybe you can send it out to some people, right? You're not sending it and asking them for anything, right? It's the greatest pull away. Because they're going to look at the opportunity. If the numbers make sense, they're going to respond back and say, I got 25 grand or 50 grand I could throw at this thing. It's pretty cool. I get to own the apartment bill with you. I make 15 to 20% a year on my money. I get to wipe out income taxes. And I know you, so I like and trust. But by you not asking, by you inviting, right? Because nobody wants to be asked. They want to be invited, right? Nobody wants to be kind of sold to come to a party. They want to be invited to a great party. So that's the whole pull away. It creates a FOMO effect. That's how you raise money correctly. But you have to have the systems and the team and everything set up in advance. So that way the identity, right? We talked about what they think you are. And if they just see you as a firefighter, if they just see you as a business owner, if they just see you as this, if they just see you as a real estate agent, it's not going to work. We have to start attaching that identity as real estate, multifamily investor, firefighter, multifamily investor. That identity has to connect. And you do that by setting up the business to where you look the part before you're the part. You have to create that environment so that way when you send them opportunities, they can see how professional it looks. They can start building trust into you. And therefore, boom, there you go. Just trust me on that, okay? I love that. And do you agree that you aren't buying apartments to have another job? I do not want you self-managing these things. You certainly can. But I don't recommend it, right? The key is hiring a good property manager the right way, and we have ways to do that. So that's the key, so you're not dealing with the toilets and tenants every day. So what's next? I ask you honestly, what is stopping you from applying this stuff on your own? Because here we are at another webinar. Is it going to be next week, another webinar? You have to ask yourself, at what point are you going to go with this? Is it that you don't know how to get started? You don't have the right tools that you need to do this? You don't think you're capable of the success, or is it something else? I would say this, that the real problem is that you don't have a step-by-step proven system to plug into and scale up and get the results. So what would it be worth to have an expert who's done this before, plug you into their proven system, guaranteed to help you get results? How much faster would you achieve your goals and get to your end destination? Would you be open to me sharing something real quick that could be of interest to you? Are you open to that? I want to ask for permission for that. Do you show us how to set up the property? That is correct, with the structure. That's right. It's going to be a holding company, Richard, out of Wyoming or Delaware. That's going to be your holding company. That's your investment company that gets set up. And then we put a little marketing in front of that, being a website and a CRM, client relations manager. And that's how we get you set up to where you literally have an official company with a bank account, website, CRM, logo, your picture on it, with our team attached to it as a strategic partner. So you look the part, you are the part, you are an official multifamily investor. And you can tell everybody that you have a company. And here it is, right? I mean, that's the purpose of it, because that's going to build the trust and start attaching the identity that you're not just X, you're X plus, right? You're X plus. When I was a real estate agent, to show you how this works so beautifully, I mean, think about how beneficial this is. I'm out there selling homes to multimillionaires, luxury real estate in Southern California. I changed, when I decided for myself I was going to do this, and I needed to start attaching the identity so that way people didn't see me just as a realtor. I changed my email signature to Realtor Multifamily Investor. Realtor Multifamily Investor. So all these emails are going out to all my clients, all the people in escrow, all the people in transactions, and they're starting to see this. They're going, Realtor Multifamily Investor. They can click on my multifamily website. They can click on my real estate website too. And then what ends up happening is all these people I was selling homes to and selling their homes, and these are very wealthy individuals, they started asking me, hey, like I know you sold our house, but I see that you're buying some apartments. Like, what is that? Do you think they became investors? Because now they started seeing that I'm not just a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent and a multifamily investor. Once they started connecting the identity and they became comfortable with that and they could see the company that I'd built, right? And I'd never asked them, I'd never approached them. Would you like to invest? Can you give me some money? That's not how it works, right? Show them, create the FOMO effect, do it anyways, invite them to the party. Don't ask them to the party. They will find their way in there. Most of them, very wealthy individuals, became our first investors simply by that action, attaching the new identity and having the ecosystem around it to do the job. Really critical, really critical. What percentage of your students, mentees have purchased a property within the first year of being in the mentorship group? Depends, Royo, but we have about a 40% success rate. Most education kind of platforms are about 10 to 20%, just to give you perspective. But I will tell you this, and it's actually good timing you asked that question. Every single person that follows this roadmap to a T, 100% success rate. 100% success rate. Because this roadmap is so dialed in, and there's obviously details to each step, right? But this thing is so dialed in with the sequence to set you up, and the way it's put in place with the order in which you do things helps alleviate all of the fears that you have and most people have about taking the step, going, right? I mean, it literally takes all of these concerns that most people have around finding good deals, deal flow, access to capital, right? Structure, all these things that, how do I do this? How do I do that? That's why we put it in this order and in this roadmap. It's critically important. So what we did for you, if people are just trying to kind of leap into this, and maybe you're not ready for a full-blown mentorship, I don't know, but we put together this. So thank you for allowing me to share this. The Multifamily Mastery System. Okay, this system is built to help new investors find deals, raise money fast. And why did I create this? Because beginners, they fail due to lack of deal flow and knowing how to raise and get access to money. That is the two biggest roadblocks most people have. So what do you get with this system? You get the full mastery system. You get a weekly roadmap that I just showed you step by step to your first deal. You get our AI. We've been building our own AI for a while now. You get full access to literally my brain 24/7. It's a custom AI that you get into. You can ask it any question you want. It'll help you analyze the deals. It has all the stuff inside it. It's so slick. I'll show you that in a second. Deal review. We're going to review your first deal with you. Make sure the numbers look good. Make sure it makes sense before you're writing offers and going out there, so you get a really good understanding of how to analyze these deals correctly, to make good assumptions, to write good offers, to get the deal at the right price. I mean, critically important, right? So component number one is the master system. This is the A to Z blueprint for finding, funding, analyzing, negotiating, and closing your first 10 to 30 unit apartment building. What's inside? All the lessons, A to Z, start to close, full underwriting system, deal finding framework. We have a document vault, so all the documents, legal documents, pitch decks, letters of intent, due diligence checklists, pretty much anything you'll ever need to buy an apartment building, we provide. We provide. Funding and partnerships, you get access to our community. Even though you're not in the mentorship, we give you access to the mentorship community, right? We give you access to it, right? You don't get all the benefits of the mentorship and the hand-holding, right? And all that other stuff. Got it. But you get access to the community and everybody in it. So that's what that is. So that's where funding and partnerships and stuff happen. Raising capital, negotiations, due diligence, and all of that. That's valued at over $2,000. The roadmap, right, that I've been showing you and kind of kicking on here. It's a structured weekly action plan, step by step, all the way through it from your start to your first deal. This has all the tasks, the broker outreach scripts, step-by-step broker contacts, accountability structure, and the roadmap steps all the way to success. That's valued at just under $1,500. Number three is the Mentor AI, and you're going to get this. That's basically me in a box, a digital box. My brain, we've been training this thing on and on and on. It's pretty slick. It's really good. How to fund, analyze, close, and manage apartments. You can ask it any question. It's built right inside of ChatGPT. So if you use chat, it's built right inside of that baby. If you have a free version, built right inside of that, no problem. You can literally ask it any question you want, and it's going to give you all the answers. It's pretty awesome. Top 10 things the AI will do for you. It's going to analyze any multifamily deal, 0 to 50 units. It'll guide you step by step through the entire acquisition and closing process. It'll run full market research on any city, state, name, and town in the United States of America. How do you do market selection? Where to invest? Data, right? Help you find deals, market, on and off market. Walk the properties with you virtually. It's pretty cool how it does that. Build and review all your syndication documents. Create everything for you in raising capital. Provide checklist systems, execution plans. Act as your negotiation on a deal. You could say, hey, I sent in this offer. They counter back like this. What should I counter back with and how and why? And it'll walk you through it with my brain because we've trained it. It'll become your daily multifamily coach, right? Daily multifamily coach. That's valued at just under $2,000. Then live deal review. We're going to review your first deal with you, right? We're going to review your first deal with you. You submit a deal to us and our team. We give you all this. And then I'm going to break it down for you with my team and I. We're going to show you, hey, look at these numbers. Check it out here using our deal analyzers that we give you. It's all included. And that way we can tell you and show you how to analyze these properties quickly. You'll know whether it's a good deal very, very quickly. So live deal review, is it good or garbage? Right? What may you be missing when you're looking at these things? The true underwriting, all the red flags to pay attention to, negotiating the deal, realistic pricing, and the next steps for it. That's valued at just under $1,500. So I would say imagine this. 90 days from now, you have secured your first multifamily deal and you're in contract. You get out of your car, you walk up to it, you put your hand on the brick of the building. And you realize, wow, like I did this. I mean, I can't tell you that level of kind of euphoria that you get because that is the exact same feeling I got when we closed on that 27 unit. I was in Kansas City. I got the call, the typical call. We are confirmed. You're closed. The first deal is always the hardest, you guys. It's always the hardest. Don't let anybody sugarcoat you that, but that's why the hand holding in that process, right? And learning this stuff is so critical. But the level of euphoria that I got walking up to this building, we just closed on it. And I put my hand on the brick and I said, holy beep, like I own this thing now. And all the tenants in it are paying me money and my investors. Like very, very cool feeling, right? That's what all of you are, urging for, which I love. Another thing we're going to do, you get 2 VIP tickets. So we throw, right? We're not just a virtual thing here. We throw 3 live events, right? Every year. We just had our one in Charlotte. Our next one's in Dallas coming up in July. And then we have another one in Las Vegas, Nevada towards the end of the year. You get 2 tickets, VIP tickets to these events, right? For the year, right? Valued at $1,200. So you get the full mastery system, right? The roadmap, the Mentor AI, live deal review with me. Plus you're going to get all the bonuses, which is the 2 VIP tickets to our live events. That's a $2,000 value. So when you really look at the full package, it's over $9,000 in value that you get. Okay. And while I totally believe that this program with all that value could be priced at nearly $3,000, I wanted to do something special for everybody on here this morning and all the case studies and droops, and I wanted to show you this. So we wanted to make sure everyone who was serious about taking the next steps, and like I said, maybe you're not ready for a full-blown mentorship, but you want to get right to the edge of that, totally fine. So what we're doing is providing a 50% discount on this, right? So not the $2,997, it's $1,497 to be a part of this and get the full mastery system, everything I just showed you broken down. Now, that's a pretty good deal. But then I was thinking about the first time I got started, I knew that if I just had the right plan in place, then it would give me the ability to get to my first deal, then I could probably invest more and do more. So I knew that I wanted to own multifamily, but I didn't have the proven system yet to do it. I just wish that someone would reach out and give me a helping hand to get up on my feet again. And if I had this, I probably would have gone a lot faster than we did. So this is what I'm going to do. I made the decision to do one better. So it's not $9,000. It's not $2,997. It's not $1,497. If people want to take action on this today, because if you go to our website, you're going to pay $1,497 for this, just so you know. You can do this for $997 here on this webinar today. And then we're going to throw in a little sweet bonus. So for the first 5 people that do this, I have what's called our little San Diego deal mission. We do this every 60 days. It's coming up June 7th and 8th. June 7th and 8th. And if you can't make that one, we'll have one right after that too. It's in San Diego. You're going to come in with me in my office in San Diego, and we're going to work together to get into that first deal. Calling the broker, setting up, getting deal flow, the company stuff, all that stuff, all the momentum in that roadmap to get you through, we do on these 2 deals or these 2 days. So the first 5 people that come into this thing and you take action on this morning, you get free access to that. This is normally just set up for our mentees in the community, right? But for folks that come into this, we give 5 slots to this to come into that and experience that so you can see that and collaborate and get in person with folks, right? So the first 5 people that come into this. And then we're throwing you a guarantee. You complete the program, and if you don't feel completely confident that you got what you believe you deserved, full money back guarantee. No problems, no questions asked, all right? To kind of take that fear away for it. So let me do this. I'm going to put up into the chat the link for it. So that way you can take this on. I'll give you the discount link so you have it for folks that want to do this. And I'll answer a couple of your questions and stuff as we kind of go through this. Texas in the house. Is this all included in your mentorship? Richard, yes, but the mentorship is much more extensive, right? Because you're dealing with me and one-on-one. We're doing a lot of hand-holding, all that stuff in through it. But if folks aren't just quite ready for like a mentorship, full-blown mentorship, this is a great avenue. What we also do, just so you know, is if you come into the mastery system like this and say it's $997, right? We credit, and let's say later you want to do the mentorship. We credit you the $997, right? We credit you that into the mentorship, right? So that's great. So that is the link. That is the link. If you click on that, I'll kind of pull this up, but let me get through the rest of this just so you fully understand, because I think this is important. I always say there's results or excuses. You can have results or excuses, but you can't have both, right? You got to break the cycle. Right? That's why I spent so much time this morning on the emotional side of this, the motivation side of it. Why are you really doing this? Because the mountains, the 7 mountains, right, that move nations and inspire people. So you can go to the checkout there, just put in the link there so you have that, and I'll show you the checkout here in just a second. So you kind of know how to process that pretty quickly to do. But kind of a couple frequently asked questions. Do I need a lot of experience? I think you guys know now you do not. This program is designed for beginners and experienced folks. Do you need a lot of money? No. Do you need $30,000 to $50,000 to go execute? Yes, you do. So you need some capital. You don't need a ton of capital, but you need some capital. And then you need a lot of skill set, a lot of knowledge, which is what you learn. And it's all learnable, but that's why you're here, right? That's why you're here. What if I'm busy? What if I'm a busy professional? Yeah, I get it. So am I. So was I when I got started. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Do you kind of want it? Or do you really want to move the needle for your family? Does it take an enormous amount of time? No, it does not. It takes 5 to 10 hours a week to learn this and execute. 1 to 2 hours a night. So rather than you zoning off at 8:30 at night when your family goes to bed and you're doing stuff, you know what? Time to level up. Time to level up. You need 1 to 2 hours. Get on that computer, look at deals, analyze them, write offers, get the hand holding, go through the roadmap, go through the process, and you'll execute. You'll execute. How fast do you get deals? Many get them in the first 90 days. We've had people do it in 22. That was fast. I think they had it teed up ahead of time. But 22 is the fastest we've ever seen. But 90 days to lock up a deal. Yes, you can. How big are these deals? 10 to 30 units for your first deals. Guys, you're not going to go bigger. You can't. You can't. The banks won't let you. Investors won't let you. Brokers won't let you. Sellers won't give you deals. If you don't have a track record, the only way you get a deal bigger than 10 to 30 units is you have to have someone like me as your actual partner. that has the resume and the track record built for the last 15 years. It's the only way it's happening, because no bank, no investors, no brokers, no nobody is going to give you the time of day if you're a newer newbie, right? The 10 to 30 unit space is still the mom and pop multifamily. It's a beautiful entry point into the multifamily space where the capital's not too crazy, right? You're not taking down too big of loans. If there's any mistakes that happen, it's thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands or millions. You get the point. It's a great entry point to get your feet wet, right? So final recap for you. The Multifamily Mastery System, the 7-week deal flow action guide, the roadmap for you, the Mentor AI live deal review, the 2-day bonus in San Diego for the first 5 people, okay, and the tickets. All of that for $997, okay? All of that for $997. It is, just to confirm, is this the same material you get in the mentorship? It is similar material, Jonathan. You do get credited the amount if you come into the mentorship. That is correct. The biggest difference between this is more course-based, self-paced stuff. You do get access to the community, right, to be able to chit-chat with mentees, but you're not going to get the level of mentorship handholding. Like, that is the biggest difference, right, in it. So that's the biggest difference in it. Mike, we can chat about that. I can send you a link, right, if you'd like. If you have interest in that, then I can put actually a link in here for you to book a time. And that way we can chat, because it is customized based on where you're at and where you need to go in terms of the mentorship. But I can put this in here for you if you have interest, not, chatting about that too much. But Mike, if you click on that link that I just put in there, that will get you the ability to have a phone call. And our team and I, myself, will strategize with you if that is of interest to you to learn that. But for the ability to get in for kind of the mastery, and keep in mind, if you do the mastery, if you decide to do the mentorship later, we credit you the money, right? We credit you the money. So that way it's a great segue for you to get in, learn, get comfortable, make sure you like it, right? And once again, we have the 100% money back guarantee on this mastery, right? If you do it and you don't like it, and for whatever reason, you're like, hey, I completed everything. I completed the program and I think it sucks. Okay, ask us for a refund, right? I mean, we're not here to, we know it's not. We know it's great, but, we want to make sure everybody feels comfortable. Everybody feels comfortable. So you are at a crossroads, as I say. You can enroll today, start your path to the apartment ownership. The first 5 of you that come in, which I think we already had 1, so congratulations on that, by the way. Because that's going to be cool. Yeah. We got 2 of you now. So we have 3 spots left. 3 spots for San Diego. Stay classy, San Diego. For June 7th and 8th. Once again, if you can't make it that 7th and 8th, not a problem. We have them every 60 days for the deal mission in my office. But that's going to get you access to that for the first 5 people that take action today, right now. And then once again, you get the 3 tickets, or the 2 tickets to our live events that we have. And those are 3 times a year. Our next one's in July. That's going to be in Dallas, Texas. And that's where the entire community comes together. So you'll be collaborating with mentees, other people, all the people there in the community, right there, and you'll get to see how it all works. It's a pretty cool experience. And that, because we want to take it out of just the virtual world. Guys, information is readily available now with AI, as you all know, right? That's why we have our own AI. I mean, you can literally take my brain and talk to it. The difference that's really going to make the leap for people is the human connection, right? Is the family, is the collaborative spirit, is people working together. I call it shaking hands and kissing babies, right? But it's really, really, really important that be there in addition to the virtual world, right? All that kind of classes and all that stuff online. I want to take you out of that and get you boots on the ground and get you into markets and get you meeting brokers and talking to people and touring deals, meeting lenders, meeting property managers. Like, that's critically important. That's called the market trip. And if you look at that roadmap that you're going to get, that's stage 5 is what's called the market trip. And if you're not going to be investing in your backyard, then you're going to take a little 2-day trip to the market that you're investing in if you're investing out of state. Pretty common, right? And we walk you through that entire process if you're out of state, right? You're going to be investing in other markets. The link disappeared. I will put that back in there for you so you have it. And that way you can take action on it, Linda. So that's coming into you right now. That's in the chat. That's in the chat. Jonathan, congratulations. Bruce, congratulations. Awesome to you guys for coming in. We're excited to have you. So I appreciate that. Trying to think if we have anybody else I need to congratulate in here. I think we have one other. There we go. Love it. Yeah, so we have 2 spots left now. 2 spots. Should be fun. Looking forward to it. You're welcome, Jonathan. Love to be excited to meet you, learn about you and what you're trying to take advantage, take advantage of and do this for yourself and your family. So very much looking forward to it. Is there weekly calls to hop on? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. All the above. So Mike, we don't do things in Facebook because Facebook kind of stinks. We do things in WhatsApp. So you get the community access to all the mentees and to everybody that's in the mastery. So we have one community on WhatsApp because we like to connect people together. It's really, really important, right? And you're going to get to see the spirit of it. So it's all on WhatsApp. We also have an online community and stuff too. So it's all built into off of the Facebook platform. It's on our own stuff, So yes, you'll get all that. And we do have weekly calls and all that stuff too. Yeah, great question. Great question, Mike. Perfect. Well, yeah, that is the end of it, guys. Any other questions, let me know. Join now, click the button, get started. This is the moment. Like I said, all the things that you get, you saw kind of the recap breakdown of it. Here's all our reviews on Multifamily Schooled on Trustpilot. You can go check that out, get all that stuff. But to kind of break everything back down for you, you get this recap. The entire program. Here you go. There you go. So you're getting all this stuff. So that's just that on the value recap. And then you get the bonuses, which is the 2 tickets to our live events as well. And 2 more spots for the San Diego event coming up June 7th and 8th. And if you missed that one, we have ones every 60 days. But that gets you access in my office with me personally so we can work together to get you moving through this roadmap. Any other last questions before we pop off here? Appreciate you spending some time. I know we went an hour and a half. I mean, I could go 4 hours if you guys want to, but you know, I have family time too here on a Saturday, and I'm sure you do. So I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. I'll put up that link one more time for you so you have it. Richard, we do have options for that, yes, but we'll discuss that on a call. If you book a call with us, Richard, to discuss the mentorship, we'll break it all down. We'll see exactly where you're at, what you're trying to accomplish. We do have payment plans, right, for the mentorship, just depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, I never want money to ever be a roadblock for people because I get it, right? I mean, everything's expensive, but it's very important that you're well educated and you learn and you can execute this. I always say the money's never the issue. It's just you trusting that we can get you a result, right? And trusting in yourself, right? It's a combo deal, right? You have to trust us that we can deliver, number one. Number two, it's building up the trust in yourself that, can I do this? Can I make this happen? Right? I mean, that's really what it's about. And we're going to do both, right? We have to build that up in you and also give you the ability that you can trust us. So, beautiful. Yeah, so you have the link one more time for the checkout there, and then you book a call with us for if you have any interest in the mentorship. But like I said, we credit you this mastery to the mentorship if you decide to come into that later. Not a problem. Not a problem. And then, yeah, the link to the call for the mentorship, I'll put that in here one more time too so you have that. And then you can come in there. There you go. Awesome. So you guys have both links in there. We'll have another 30 seconds here and then we'll finish off. And you have a great Saturday. Have a great Saturday. Beautiful, everybody. Well, thanks for coming in. Hope this was just as fun for you as it was for me. I do enjoy it. I do truly enjoy it. I get fulfillment out of it. I mean, you saw the 7 mountains there. One of them is the education side. And why is this mutually beneficial? Because I know, and we're seeing it, we're partnering with students all over the country on deals that we would never otherwise see. I can't see every deal in the country, you guys. So if you're out there finding great opportunities and you need partnerships, we would love the opportunity to partner with you on deals. It helps our portfolio grow, helps your portfolio grow, helps everybody get to where they want to go. Everybody's making money. It's a win-win. That's the beauty, right? That's the beauty of it. And you want it to be authentic and organic. You don't want it to be forced. I mean, I've seen many other communities and programs where, like, if you come into them, they force you to give them equity in your deals. That's not how we do it. It needs to be organic, authentic, natural. It will do its job, and the universe will pay itself forward every single time. Every single time. Beautiful. All right, everybody. Take care. Have an amazing Saturday.